Is Sydney Sweeney a Republican? It seems like it. Was she aware of the implications of her actions, or what her ad was dog whistling? Maybe, maybe not. But are those the things we should be asking? Not particularly. We should be taking aim at corporations that both run the system and that rage bait a whole society for profit. This is about a system that used the likes of Sydney Sweeney to stir division, draw headlines, and most of all, sell product. It's fascist advertising designed to distract you while corporations profit. It's no secret that corporations run the system. 90% of American politicians have corporate donors. And one of the ways our system spreads propaganda is the interlinking between politicians and corporations. That's not to say a political consultant or lobbyist approached American Eagle to do eugenics advertising, but fascists are in power right now. Fascists that propagate white nationalism. And when that occurs, corporations will play off of it. Corporations get their subsidies and see all of their political goals accomplished via the politicians that are in power. In return, corporations suck up to the politicians in power and make content that the fascists will love. And then Republicans will pretend they're not doing eugenics when she clearly states genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. And yes, it's especially eugenics, considering that Hitler himself idealized blonde-haired, blue-eyed individuals who were exactly like Sydney Sweeney. It is as clear as a dog whistle gets. You will have dogs running to your door as soon as that goddamn ad comes on TV. But this is unsurprisingly not the only time a eugenics ad has occurred in America. It also happened to occur in the year 1980, a year before another one of our all-time worst presidents, Ronald Reagan, a sign that America was about to unleash one of its most damaging presidents ever. A country born from slavery never addressed many of its systemic issues since FDR died, and would find itself in a capitalist point of no return. But back to the 1980 Brooke Shields ad. It's actually worse than Sydney Sweeney's ad. First of all, it exploited a 15-year-old. And that kind of exploitation in itself really captures how corporations use figures for its profit. They certainly prey on those who will take the bag, and who clearly don't understand the weight of the situation. Anyways, the ad mentions selective mating. Proves superior is another phrase used in the commercial. And to cap it all off, the innocent 15-year-old says, other genes might fade away while other genes persist. And of course the classic, survival of the fittest. It's just Nazi propaganda. No two ways around it, it's very straightforward, but it also emphasizes a history of how corporations participate in an agenda of propaganda, and how they heavily profit from it. And the two eugenics ads are far from the only time corporations have entertained confusing the shit out of the general public. How about back in 2017 when Kendall Jenner gave a cop a Pepsi? This one was so unbelievably insulting and incoherent that it becomes obvious they're just trying to stir the pot to sell product.
This was one of the deadliest eras on record for black people when it came to police violence, and Pepsi didn't read the room at all. Or perhaps something far more sinister. Maybe they did.
Let's have a hot girl give a cop a ice-cold Pepsi and act like that solves systemic racism. I mean, they might just be onto something. Give Netanyahu a sweet, refreshing Pepsi, and that man's gonna surrender to the ICC. But no, it's unfortunately not so simple. Just like how pouring Pepsi on my head doesn't heal my medium to severe scalp psoriasis. I will not be doing that skit. It's not happening.
This wasn't the only racist ad to play in 2017. I don't know exactly what was going on in 2017, but there was also the Jerry Rice Popeyes commercial, which was something like a Dave Chappelle skit, but instead of satirical, it was real and insanely racist.
It's also crazy to think about how bold corporations are when they continue to fund constant atrocities. Pepsi donated $15,000 to Greg Abbott's campaign, who then banned abortion in Texas.
And you know what? Let's talk about Pepsi more. The Tyler the Creator Mountain Dew commercials. Tyler the Creator took the bag in his edgier years, and for it, the commercial was called the most racist commercial in history by Boyce Watkins. Pepsi ultimately pulled the ads, but I'm going to start a fun and harmless conspiracy here. How do you not know how racist it was from the jump? It kind of seems like a corporate sabotage attempt of Tyler the Creator, who was a rising black talent at the time, extremely controversial, and genuinely too edgy. He crossed a few too many lines, and I think he deserved some criticism. But I genuinely think the conversation could have been had to use Tyler's edginess against him, essentially reprimanding him in the most corporate oligarch fashion. In the same year, 2013, Hyundai made an ad of someone unaliving themselves, McDonald's mocked depressed women, and Ford depicted women tied up in the back of one of their cars, but all of those ads were cancelled.
Pepsi also recently rolled back DEI initiatives and has questionable ties to Israel, facing an increase in calls for a boycott, while Pepsi's single-use plastic contributes greatly to global pollution, all the while having a product that is horrible for you. Soda is so bad for you, I'm sorry if you can't relate, but it is. Meanwhile, American Eagle has also shown support for Israel, who strive every day for an ethno-state while promoting eugenics here in the land of funding eugenics. You know who else commonly trolls you to sell more product? Video games. And entertainment in general. That's the culture war, and corporations are leaning into it. Just to use one video game company as an example, Rockstar Games, which is an extreme example. They've had the whole premise of trolling you for quite some time now. And I think the rest of corporations are catching on to that. Litter video games with glitches, unfair payouts, nothing we asked for, and of course, microtransactions. They don't patch the things they should and then nerf the things people enjoyed. Video games today are a constant cycle of driving consumers to the point of going mad, to the point where they then complain about it online, which is just free marketing at that point, regardless of it being positive or negative. I'm not a big video game person, but I did work at EA Sports for 3 years, so I have a good read on the strategy that's occurring at video game corporations. But of course, this also extends to all corporations. Like that Instagram location update. Why do you think they added that? Who asked for this? And who is this for? Instagram is losing social media dominance, and they'll do anything just to get people talking, even if it pisses people off. And you'll never see me complain about diversity or diversity in video games. But I do think some corporate decisions come down to not pandering to liberals like conservatives think, but to make alt-right idiots upset about that diversity. And to be fair, that's probably the only thing corporations do well. But then that alt-right guy who pees in his basement continues to go online and complain about it, but then unfortunately also gains an audience. Or everyone also gets so riled up about Sydney Sweeney or other culture wars that to own the libs, conservatives are now posting any and all sightings of Sydney Sweeney. So corporations totally know what they're doing, and they'll capitulate to anyone or piss anyone off just to get people talking in the process. Corporations will always choose Kid Rock shooting 2,000 Bud Light cans in revolt if it means getting your attention. It's any publicity is good publicity to them. And despite how furious their consumers may become, consumers are still likely to consume the product regardless. Now, one option we have in all of this is boycotting. Boycotting can be an easy way to organize against corporate power, because corporations do simply have way too much power. Power over our political duopoly, power over our labor value, and power over pop culture. They're engaging in wage theft while trying to steal your attention too. And you can call it a conspiracy, but I think there's a reason why corporations want to seemingly decrease our attention spans. In fact, they clearly want us to be dumber. There's a billion examples. So if it were up to me, corporations would have no power. So as an example that boycotting can help, BDS has seen some wins culturally. Lauryn Hill stopped performing in Israel upon boycotting pressure. But I do want to make a video about boycotting in the future, so all I'll say for now is, find every and any little way to organize against the powers that be. Corporations know that in a corporate oligarchy, that if they have all the power, the people will feel powerless, that the masses will be apathetic and won't mobilize against them. At the end of the day, capitalism is a system that doesn't care about anything but selling you things. And corporations will go to any length to get your attention.
Cause I wrote what you want last time. Doesn't mean that you're on my mind. And if I talk to you one last time, doesn't mean that you took my pride.